Steve, how are you?
Very good. Good to see you, Mark. Nice to see you again.
All right.
Thank you for coming down.
Pleasure.
So, welcome to the EMG Inspire Stadium, Melbourne Park. Have you been here before?
No, I was at your old ground as a referee.
Oh, fantastic.
So I came up. I used to referee at non-league level.
Yep.
My days came up through the Southern League before getting onto the conference as it was, and then onto the Football League on the line for 9 years. But I remember having many games at your old ground.
Oh, wow.
Some of the fans might hopefully not remember it, because I remember
they have
having
long
some
memories. I should warn you, Mr. Selby in particular, the Clarence historian, knows all about the history.
Know him well, and obviously dealt with him a lot as a referee. Not in an official capacity, of course, but in terms of confirming games and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I've got a lot of good memories.
Okay, so tell us about
I'll tell you what.
City at New Riddle Street.
Yeah, the one game I remember was I think it was a Monday night, absolutely chucking it down with rain. I think it was Henswood. Yeah, doesn't matter, but it was a chucking it down with rain. The then chairman, who I clearly wasn't you, but I forget who it was. Didn't want to play the game because you were near the bottom, if not bottom.
Yeah.
The team they were playing, which I think was Henswood, was at the top, and it was, shall we play, shan't we play? Right. Chairman clearly didn't want to play. I know that because he gave me the benefit of his opinion.
But surely he had to play.
The pitch was touch and go, but I played.
Yeah. Okay.
And the one thing I remember from that game was the final whistle, when Chelmsford had beat the team at the top.
Wow.
Of course.
Of course.
And I looked up, and in the director's box, all I saw was the chairman going, yes. He was quite a favourite of mine after that.
Was he?
Yeah, no, he was
that's
all
interesting,
right.
that.
But that's a long time ago. Long time ago.
Wow. Oh, no, it's certainly different now. We have our own challenges with the pitch. We've just done a load of work on it. And, some people won't realise that, actually we're doing this again because last time you came down, we were doing some work on the pitch, which rather destroyed our conversation.
Indeed.
But since then, we've scarified. We've put 40 tonne of topsoil on it, so hopefully we've got a little bit of...
It's looking lovely.
Little bit of things. So I think the same lady's practising long jumping. Yeah. Let's have a. Should we have a sit in here and
why not? Let's have a look.
Let's have a seat. I'm fairly certain the topics of conversation, some will be the same as they were 3 weeks ago, but I think obviously there's been big developments this week. We had a very interesting EGM on Wednesday. I know I was quite vocal in that myself, actually, in terms of where we are.
The purpose of the EGM?
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that?
And I think it's I think it almost summarises a bit of the challenge that we've had, as clubs at our level, in terms of, we had the lockdown, the allocation of grants and stuff like that. And, but I think for me, one of the disappointing things, is there's obviously a lot of discontent about the clubs in the National League North and South. But those in the National League all seem to be very happy. I mean, is that your take?
Well, I think it's fair to say that there are challenges facing the Step 2 North and South that are not the same challenges for the National Division.
Yeah.
So people at EGMs will vote on how it impacts their organisation. So the concerns that have been raised are not ones that are detrimental to the National Division. So they will vote accordingly, and they have, and it's their right to do so. That shouldn't, though, mask the concerns that are for North and South, because we are one league. It's important. There are some real serious concerns raised by the North and South clubs, which have to be taken seriously. It's right that they're taken seriously, and we will learn from that, and we will go forward and work with the clubs. We've got to. I can't sit here today and promise you that this will change, that will change, because the decision has to go through a decision-making process. It needs to be confirmed. All I can say to you and give my commitment is that we will work with the clubs to listen to what those issues are and take it forward and fully debate it. I do think it's a really important thing, though, because forget the result of the EGM. It largely doesn't matter. The fact that we ended up having to have one is the important issue. And
Yeah.
I don't want us being in that position.
I think it's ironic, you know, because I kind of went into that meeting with a fully support the National League board, you know, can't really see this. But, you know, as the debate went on, it was like, well, where is anybody speaking for the board here?
Well, it's a little bit like anything else, though, isn't it? That people very rarely speak up when they're happy.
True.
People will speak and voice their concern when there's something bothering them. When we're happy with the way things are, people will stay silent. And it's not often that people will, when they're in a position of contentment, that they will put their head above the parapet. Why would you?
Yeah.
It's only when people are concerned about things that they exercise their right, quite rightly so, I'm not decrying that, and raise those concerns. So look, that's nothing new in meetings. You've been in a number of meetings, I'm sure, where you'll go, why aren't people saying anything? And it's because generally it doesn't impact them negatively.
But it's a little bit of, well, I'm all right, Jack. You know, that was the attitude I took away from it. You know, the National League, well, we're all right because we got more funding than everybody else. You know, we've heard the ones, and I mean, you can't comment on these kind of things, but you know, the ones who said, well, you know, they got their lump of money out of the thing and went, well, I'm fine because it was like all my Christmases have come at once. And I think, as you said, there is that discontent amongst the National League North and South, as was registered by the voting. But it's almost like one member, one vote applies everywhere, but in the National League.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to get drawn into the
I don't
issue.
want to.
No, it's all right. Well, I won't anyway. But it's the, you know, whenever you're dealing with money, whichever way you slice up that cake, people are going to be unhappy.
Yeah.
Because people will look at it. If you'd have sliced it this way, I'd have had a bigger slice of that cake. So I don't think that serves anything. What I really want to look at is why is there the other areas of discontent
Yes.
that lead towards it. I understand why there is not an equal vote across the board, because you know, you look at the national division that is step one, that many of our sponsors and everything in the main come in because they're supporting that step one position, and when we have a central distribution pot, as you know.
Do you think that's true? Do you think they look at it purely, well, I only want that, or do you think actually they're looking for some coverage and they'll go, I mean, if you said I'm going to televise National League North now or National League South, would that change the numbers?
I don't know.
Convinced.
Yeah, I don't know. But the bottom line is, at the moment, the televised games are National League.
Yeah.
Because the prize is to get into the Football League.
Yes.
And so that is how it is at the moment.
Yeah.
And it is how it is now. That doesn't mean to say, you know, how we do things now have to always be the way that we do things. We need to look and adapt, and you know, we heard the voices very loud and clear at the EGM, and that's the purpose of the EGM. And I'm not criticising anybody for raising the points. That is their right. That's their constitutional right, and they exercise that. We need to walk away from that and learn those lessons, because for me as general manager, the fact that we're even in that position is sad. It's sad for football, and quite frankly, I don't ever want to be in that position again.
Well, I'm very grateful for you coming and chatting to us today. I mean, I suppose that's part of what you talked about is what you want to do is engage. So, and you're here engaging.
Yeah,
so
you
take that you've started.
Well, I've started, and I will be measured on how we engage moving forward, and nothing wrong with that. And I include everybody in that. You know, I'm coming here today. I'm going to see other clubs. I've got another one on Tuesday. It's right that I do that. I've also engaged with fans who have sent their concerns in, raising points, and
yes.
I'm not going to do it to everyone, but my general point on it on a few occasions has been to my team who concerns have been sent in, is I've then responded directly to those fans and on at least 3 or 4 occasions now, I've gone, well, get me the number, I'll talk to them, because actually the points they're raising, I don't want to write a 5-page email to go back. I want to engage with people and have a discussion, and there's nothing wrong with that. And you can have a discussion and disagree.
Yeah.
We'll disagree on things. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. In fact, I think it's right. I think that's how you learn things. But equally, you know, it's how you do it rather than
Yes.
you know what you do in that sense. I think I can disagree with people and still walk away and be respected and have respect.
Yes.
I think you should be measured in the manner in which you go about things.
I think you're right. I think often it's about, you know, people, it's about collecting opinion, isn't it? You're able to form your own opinion and make your own mind up, but actually you consult with people because they may have got different, and you can learn. I'm with you totally.
Well,
it's a good idea.
Yeah, look, I'm not coming in there and saying that my team in the office know all the answers, the board know all the answers. We're meant to be representative of the league. That doesn't mean to say that every single point that gets raised that we come back with the answer. We may want to go out and have a working group or a consultation group, depending on what the subject matter is,
Yes.
to talk about things. I mean, you'll know, I called the clubs together to talk about the fixture schedule.
Yeah.
Because I looked at it and we thought that it would be good to have a debate to see whether or not there are things that we could do better that would suit fans better.
Yes.
And to get the views of the clubs as to, you know, should we have more midweek fixtures at one type of the year as opposed to the other? Where do you want your local derbies, on a Saturday or a midweek? A whole host of number of things. And we did that before, we hadn't made any decisions, we did that before we made a decision and recommendation to the FA and looked at our fixture schedule. And I just want to do more of that.
It's interesting. I have caused all sorts of chaos around this club to do with fixtures, because I suggested that maybe we might look at other times other than 3 o'clock kick-off on a Saturday. Yeah. That didn't go down particularly well with 83% of people who responded to a Twitter poll. But what I'm hoping, that it's a bit like you, it's like, well, let's find out. Let's try different things. You know, if we can get here, I mean, the Essex Cricket has a great time on a Friday night games, and they get a massive crowd.
Well, people don't like change, do they? And and when you try to change something, straight away in many people's minds there is why do we want to do that, as opposed to why shouldn't you? And I remember, obviously for obvious reasons, I'm not going to mention what meeting or what organisation I was working for at the time, but I remember being in a board meeting somewhere, not recently, so it wasn't the National League, where we were proposing something, many years ago by the way, we were proposing something and the chairman was dead against it. And in the meeting, I noticed, like you are, he's wearing a watch on his left arm.
Yeah.
And I said to him, Chairman, do me a favour. I see your watch. Take it off. He took the watch off. I said, put it on your right wrist. Put it on his right wrist. And I then carried on talking about the subject. And about 5 minutes later he said, what was all that about? I said, do you know what? It's different, but it'll still work.
Yes.
And he looked at me. We got through what we were doing. He gave me the biggest rollicking of my life afterwards for belittling him in the board meeting, and I didn't do it again. But it just focused the mind to go, just because you're changing something doesn't mean to say that it's not going to work. It may still work, and it may work better, and it may feel better.
Yes.
And don't be frightened to change. Yeah. And sometimes you'll fail, but actually failure's not a bad thing either.
So you're relatively new in this role, and you've been here since the start of the year. What do you see as what changes do you think you'd like to see, or what's on your agenda?
What's on my agenda? Get through this damn pandemic. That if you think about all of the problems that we've had, come back to one common denominator: the pandemic. And that's not passing the buck. Could we have done things better? Yeah, maybe. But I want us to get through. Football's about the fans.
Yes.
It's about getting people through the gate. You know, we're looking forward very much now. We've got, I appreciate it doesn't affect here, but we got fans back in before the end of the season. Home fans only, I get that. There's been a number of test events to see if we can get other fans in. I very much hope, if we continue going the way that we're going, that we will be in a position to be able to have full fans back in the stands for the start of the season. I think one of the big things that's that's going to be tested and be looked at during the Euros. We've got the Euros on, which is really, really helpful.
Oh yeah, so, well, we'll come back to the Euros later.
Yeah. So it'll be great to get that.
Yeah.
So
I for one have come smack bang in the middle of a difficulty that's facing the world, and I just want to get to the start of the new season and joyously be sat here looking out there and watching you playing football.
Yeah. And I think reality is, I know I probably got a little bit animated at the EGM on Wednesday, and I think that was the frustration for me, was very much around, all as North and South. I suppose the principal frustration is we couldn't keep playing, and yet all the people in the National League, well, we're all right because we could. So, but I mean, I'm going back over old ground, but I think it's going to be interesting to see how it goes forward, and I kind of, in a way, would. It's almost like, well, we've made it. I have to say, I'm an accountant, and it's always one of those things that once you become a member, you always want the annual subscription to never go up, but the joining fee to go up. It always kind of feels the same. Feels the same thing. But you do want to say to some of those National League, you could be in our position. But let's hope that, if not that, I think one of the positive things is, from all of those of us who wanted to keep playing, we're all going out and meet and have a few beers and actually start to cooperate. And I think that'll be helpful for everybody in the league.
I definitely agree with that. I mean, I'm not going to go over what was said in the EGM because that's confidential, but I'll come back to the point that you just made with regards to people voting to stop playing the season. It is that, again, that was a decision of the clubs.
Yeah.
And in fairness, whilst one of the concerns at the moment is around the voting rights, part of that resolution, if you recall, was to give North and South the ability collectively at step 2 to make their own decision if they want to continue or not.
Yeah, and we just lost
and it was lost.
Yeah.
It's a little bit like Brexit, one half like it, one half don't. And but what I will say in defence of the league and the board is that they agreed to put a resolution forward so that step 1, if the clubs agreed, step 1 couldn't override step 2. So step 2 had their own voice, and that's what happened. And yes, I know people will slice.
We felt let down by level 1. You can't
blame step 1 for that one, and you can't blame the board for that one.
I'll blame them whichever way works for my self-interest.
Exactly my point, because we gave the approval for step 2 to do it, and on their own, and now people are saying, well, North Division should have decided their own, South should have been divided their own, because the slice of the cake didn't go the way that some, just under half, wanted it to go, and it's frustrating. And we moved that way so that it would have been a fairer discussion, and there are still people unhappy, and we're always going to get in life people that are unhappy. So that's it.
Yeah. So one of the things you mentioned obviously was about TV and doing that. What do you see happening? Because obviously, we've been able to offer fans. But I mean, the thing that prompted my fan backlash about moving kickoff times was because I know there's this blackout at 3 o'clock on a Saturday. So I was thinking, we have a guy in Japan who supports us, and he was like, well, if there's a blackout, I think you're still okay overseas. But in the UK, there's this blackout at 3 o'clock on a Saturday, so maybe we can, maybe if we move some times occasionally, you can get to watch some games. But do you think we'll be allowed to film next season?
I really don't know. We're in the hands of legislation even outside of the FA. So this is definitely not one that's in the gift of the league or largely the FA, because it's an article of FIFA UEFA that basically dictates those timings, and it was relaxed during the pandemic again to try and get coverage for the fans whilst games were going on, and I'm delighted. I mean, has it worked for you?
Oh, I think so. I've had all sorts of. We have our Pixel.com up there, which kind of does it. I get all sorts of our coverage of our commentary. It's been a learning experience, shall I say? But my view has always been that we've invested a lot in it because actually I can see it continuing, and it's enabled us. We filmed our youth FA Cup games. We've seen that we've had our ladies on here and we filmed them, and I have to say they play better in front of it. Generally their results have been stronger, and they've particularly started better, knowing this. But it's great for development of the team and able to. I'd really like to keep going, and we will still use it. We will record every game, but I think it'd be nice because I think there's also an element of there'll be some fans who still feel nervous about coming back.
Sure.
And therefore giving them the opportunity to see it, I think is a good thing to do.
Yeah.
And I don't think it hits your audience of people coming through the turnstiles. Who is it really hitting?
Well, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because the general belief of streaming is that it may hit, and I say may because I don't know whether there's been any statistical analysis. I've certainly not seen any that will show yes the numbers have gone down purely because of streaming. I'd be interested to see if that existed. But again, if there's a representation of people wanting to continue, and I know there's a growing swell of people wanting to continue with streaming, then we should look at it. The streaming abroad is separate to that anyway.
Yes.
It's not governed. It's more to do with the streaming of it in the UK. So whether or not that will be relaxed or when it will be put back in force, I don't know.
Yeah.
I can say that there are conversations and debates being had about the continuation of streaming anyway.
Yes.
And how that moves forward, time will tell.
I kind of almost think if I saw an impact on the gate, then all that I think should be saying to me as a club is you need to work harder to improve the fan experience for the fan who comes to the game. And I know that's one of the things that we're trying to do here at Chelmsford is as soon as that person comes through the gate, what is their experience? So, we're looking at improving your beer offer, improving your food offer, actually creating a great environment.
Games.
I have to say, it's always down to winning the games. But
Get promotion.
Thanks, Mark.
So easy.
Well, that's it then. I'll talk to the head of the National League, see if he can help me.
Talk to your manager.
But then you come down to budgets, and another one of my favourite topics. Yes, can we have some more money? Right, to be honest, I think that's part of the challenge, isn't it, for non-league football is sustainability. I mean, if you look at the number of clubs now, and we actually put something out that I recorded this morning about, because there've been a lot of challenges here about how much money you spend, and the problem is if you have a club that's dependent upon one or two individuals to constantly throw money in, then it's just not sustainable, because if that person changes their mind or falls out of love, then suddenly you've got a problem. And we can't, that is totally unsustainable. I know we looked at caps, those caps are still very high.
Well, I get that. I mean, the one thing I will say, in all due credit to the board at the National League, and my previous life was at the FA.
Yes.
And
of course you ran the...
I'm on the discipline side of the FA.
Was that when you came across David Selby? Was it? No. Oh, sorry, David.
The issue about finance and sustainability, if we were to go back many years and you looked at the financial state of the clubs at this level back then, it was challenging, is probably the right way to put it. And the National League board worked with the FA to put into place some models and some regulations that helped secure some financial stipulations that wanted to make sure that clubs didn't oversell themselves, and that they had measures in play to make sure that clubs were living within their means and that they were paying the tax man and doing all the bits that they're meant to be doing. And by not paying the tax man, you pay your players more, and therefore you get a sporting advantage. By not paying the tax man, regulations that cover that sort of stuff. And it's absolutely to their credit that they ended up doing that and getting us into a position where we are now, and we're in a much better position now from a club's point of view.
It does feel very well organised, I have to say. The stuff I've got to do my FQR4s and submit my 2021.
I've got the fine coming in now. No, I haven't.
I'm not late yet.
No, you're not late. It's all right.
Not yet.
No.
But Yeah, no, I think it's just a challenge for clubs. I mean, one of the things you mentioned, the Euros. One of the big things that we're doing is obviously Euro starts 2 weeks today.
Can't wait.
So we're actually creating a little village, a Euro village. So we're hoping so we're going to have. We've got benches because we're still under social, but we're going to have about a load of benches out there. People can book a bench, and then we've hired a 5 metre by 3 metre big screen. And what we really want is to create an atmosphere. Now, it'd be great, and I'm looking at different beer offers. Initially, I wanted to kind of, for everybody who's playing, can I get a beer or a drink from that country, and can we get food from that country to try and make it really to do. But it's, I'm not sure we're going to get that far with that. So we've had to tone that down a bit. Obviously, a lot of demand for England games, so I think we're close to selling out on those. But it's the other ones that's really important to get people out, and I'm trying to encourage. I think we've got 400 or 500 people who play under the Chancellor City Football Club banner, and in particular the walking football guys. They're really keen. So we're going to try and get everybody in the teams. I'm running a sweepstake amongst the teams. Every team runs a sweepstake. I've got somebody at every level in the organisation in the club supporting Croatia and supporting North Macedonia.
Good luck with it.
Unlucky for them. But I'm trying to use it as a way to almost link all the club together and go, actually these people know these people, and our first team member will be with all those teams. So I was chatting to somebody locally the other day, and they look after the under-8s, and they're like, could your players come along to things? Said, if you ask, we'll do it. But I suppose that's one of the hard things of running a football club is you don't want to push yourself onto people, particularly onto other teams. And so it's kind of, but people worry that, I can't ask. Well, you can ask, and generally the answer is yes.
People can make their own decisions, can't they? And
Well,
good luck with that. I hope that goes really well. And again, one of the key dates, you talk about the social distancing and everything else. 21st of June. Who knows what the government are going to say on the 21st of June or wherever we are.
They keep humming and ahhing, don't they, because of this Indian COVID piece.
And it's. Do you know what? That's one of the problems that faces us at the league. I'm getting inundated by people saying, "Well, what's your position for next season? Should there not be full fans back in and everything else?" And the simple answer to that is we don't know where the roadmap's going to be. Can you tell us what's going to happen on the 21st of June? No. What I can say is that we're working together with the FA and the other feeder leagues so that we have a joined up position so that we know and can secure that we're not going to be in the position that we were in this year, and that's what we want to make sure that we can do and be prepared for things that might happen. And try and make sure that clubs aren't put at risk along those side of things, and we are working about it, but I can't come out and say what it is because there's been no decisions in that. All I can say is that we're discussing to make sure that clubs are protected. I hope with the science and everything that's going the way that it is, that this is full.
So do I. That'd be nice.
Was it full before this?
No, not quite.
Okay.
Not quite. Nearly. Just a few more people need to come through the gates.
Great.
But I think that's got to be the goal. I mean, our goal this year is let's see how getting more and more people to come and support your local club, which is the goal for what we're doing. But
absolutely.
I mean, you mentioned COVID. I would like to pass on our thanks, particularly to Colin Peake and his team. Honestly, the support you gave was phenomenal in terms of supporting clubs. And it's been really great to get since yourself's joined it. I have felt we've had much more dialogue, which I think is a good thing. I think if I was in your shoes, I think the thing I think is a challenge, and I actually mentioned it on Wednesday. Have you really got the resources to do the things you want? It's interesting. We have a club. We were relying very heavily on volunteers. And one of the things I've done, we brought in a media team and stuff, because I think it gives you capacity to support people, and therefore what you can do is you can do so much more. And I think the comment was made the other day that a lot of your teams are either part-time or the extent of resources. And if I can help you by going to your bosses and saying, give this man more resources to do what needs to get done.
I'm really grateful for that. I have to be honest and say that I don't think it's a resource issue. I've got a really good team.
They are great. Everybody I've interacted has been really good.
I think you can look at things in two ways. Do you need to get more people at it and throw people at it, or do you need to look at what you're doing and do it in a better way, and use technology. I'm looking at the moment at changing some of the technology that will impact clubs and make the lives of the clubs easier.
Right.
Once we get into a situation of launching that, I will be calling another meeting with some clubs to seek their views about how we implement, and this is around registrations and team sheets and all the other bits and pieces, and if there are ways that we can do not only make our lives easier, but make your lives easier.
I've seen that. You want to have it automated, so we're not filling in forms and giving them to the referee and stuff.
We have a really daft situation where we have...
You know this, you're refereeing days.
Yeah, no, I know. The team sheets are handy for me to be able to look at the red and yellow cards, make sure I've got the spellings correct. But the simple fact of the matter is, why are we passing paper records around? Why are we asking team sheets to be sent into the office for them to be checked and then added into the systems? Just use technology and make lives easier. Do we need people, I don't know, this is just off the cuff, but do we need people going in the referees' change rooms before the game to hand paper team sheets over? Is there a better way of doing those sorts of things?
Yeah.
Are there better ways that we can make the lives of Dave easier in having to chase the manager up, where's your team sheet, etc, etc, etc?
Yeah.
Is there a better way of doing it?
Yes.
And use technology where there is. Do you know what? One of the things that's really come out as a positive, I think, with COVID, and I'm clutching at straws to try and think of a positive of COVID, but the fact that we end up engaging more, using technology and having meetings on Zoom or Teams or WebEx, whatever the system is, it doesn't matter. That it's so much easier to mix. Now I remember many years back suggesting having meetings on video conferencing, and people, oh no, it's better, you want to get around the table and mix, but you end up having to take the whole day out and use it. Look at the EGM on Wednesday, forget the EGM was what it was, but in the past you'd have had to have travelled from here to wherever the venue was.
Walsall generally.
And it would take a day
I've
out.
never had to go. Fortunately, David and Alan have been very helpful.
but it takes a day out.
Yeah.
Instead of logging in 1 hour, 2 hours, whatever it's going to be,
Yes.
you've got the rest of your day. And have we achieved it? Have we achieved what we wanted to achieve?
Yeah.
Yes.
And actually, it means that rather than storing things up, you can actually respond quicker as well. More often.
And it should make my life easier in terms of consulting and working with the clubs.
Yes. Yeah.
Use technology.
Oh, fantastic.
That's the aim.
I'm definitely up for that one.
So that's the aim.
That's good. Well, look, really appreciate you coming along today.
Pleasure.
Thank you very, very much, and good to get your honest opinion on things. And let's keep talking. And I think actually that's almost your mantra, isn't it? Let's talk.
Absolutely right. And good luck for next season. Hopefully, with this place filled, watching some good football out there.
Well, we hope to see you here. Thank you very much,
you.
Rob. Thank
Cheers.
you.